So day 2 of the Romford Film Festival 2025 is pretty much done now. We've just had our last feature of the day on this screen. We just had Gridlock, and now I'm sitting with some cast and crew from the movie. Do me a favour and make this really super easy for myself because I butcher names like you wouldn't believe. Let's go down the line and tell everyone who you are and what you did on this project.
So my name is Ilka Sparringa. I'm the director as well as producer and writer of Gridlocked.
Hi, I'm Friedrich Bochroder. I'm the main actor, also the writer and producer and drone pilot or whatever needs to do to make a movie. So, yeah.
And just quickly, this is your directorial debut.
Yes, indeed.
Wow, well done. Like
Thank
that.
you.
Can we get a little round of applause for that?
Appreciate it.
So let's go back a little bit first. I want to find out a little bit more about what makes you tick and what made you want to be a filmmaker. But I don't want to ask that simple question of what was it. It's more of a question of what was the first project, the first film, the first thing you saw coming up that made you want to be a filmmaker and be in this industry?
Ooh, that's a good question.
You want to think? And
Yeah, I need a little more time, I guess.
shall I start?
Yes, please.
For me, it's a little bit kind of odd because we didn't have a television at home, and I saw my first film when I turned 13, and it was Star Wars Episode 1, The Dark Side. For most of the people, not the first Star Wars.
It's a difficult entry to the franchise.
So let's skip that topic. And for me, never saw something on screen or television. It was so crazy for me. Oh, I want to do that. And so for me, it was since then clear. I want to do something. What I have to do with film. Yeah.
So I grew up with a lot of movies, Disney movies, and I was always fascinated by them, and I always wanted to be part of this magic that sometimes nowadays I feel like it lost a bit of its magic, but that's a different story. But it's not a particular movie, I'd say, so it's just like the whole world that opens up there.
And what is it now, because you are now filmmakers, you've now got something in the can, we've got to see it up on the big screen today, but what is it now that excites you about filmmaking? Now that you're in that industry and you're doing it, what excites you the most about it?
I think for me it's the teamwork and what is possible, like with so many different visions coming together and like forging this piece that you could not have imagined beforehand. So it can just really get out of your, like, this single head. It's like so many influences merging together here.
Yeah, well, for me, it's, I think making movies combines all form of arts, you know. You have writing, then you have also, for me, painting, if you have a nice cinematography, then you have music, and lyric maybe in the music. So for me, making a movie combines all art forms together, and you're also working with other artists together, and this is really interesting. A painter just paints for themselves, a writer writes for themselves, actually not for themselves, for other people, you know, but there you have to work together and find a solution, or if you have something in your mind, to combine, and that is so cool and so nice. And that is also, I think that people love making movies because you meet human, they have the same spirit, you know, and then you easily become friends, because as we independent filmmakers, you put so much heart and effort and you know everything in it, that you're on the same page, you know. And that is actually really cool, because in the world nowadays, everyone works for his own, and you can't do that in movies, making movies, you know. That is what I really love.
Yeah, I always use the term, and it's a bit of a silly term, but it does take a village. But it takes a lot of people coming together to make a project, and it really shows because you've got something special up there.
It's like 700 in this case. 700 people working on the movie.
On an independent film as well.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Where did this movie come from? It feels very deep. It's quite intense. It feels somewhat personal in ways. But where did this film come from? What was the initial spark?
So it's come a long way. It's been 8 years in the making, and it's actually based on true events. It's an article we stumbled upon in 2017, and it tells the story of those homeless people. And that took place in Poland. So they had this illegal drug test, and some of the homeless even died. And this test was commissioned by the drug giant Novartis, and they never really had to pay for it. So, and this is still happening. And I think especially the pandemic made it even more apparent for everybody now. So this plays into our, how would you say, hands, and made it more relatable, so that we as individuals don't really hold the power that we think we hold. So there's like a lot of decisions made for us without us even knowing about it.
But with that would come quite a lot of research as well to make sure you got that story right, because obviously if it's something you're pulling from real life from, you've got to make sure it's on the money. Was there anything that you discovered through researching from this movie that really surprised you and made it into the final project?
Like actual information? Can you think of something?
Yeah, actually, what surprised me, or still is surprising me, is that it's actually not, for me, a movie about a drug test. It's more about a movie about system, you know, that we live in a system, and we got lied to politicians, and they get away with it.
A huge lobby.
Yeah, a huge lobby. They're always getting away with it, and that is, even if everyone would know, they still got away. Maybe they find one single person in a company who screwed up, and they got kicked out, you know, and that is so crazy or so weird, you know, that we are mostly like sheeps who feel free, you know, and that is actually what is the movie about, because actually Nick has no idea what he's involved in, and he think, oh, now I got it under control, but he
He's
really
like
hasn't. And that was the reason why when we wrote the story that we really stick to the main character, and that's actually really hard storytelling if you stay with your main character, because the audience get no other information than the main character has. And that is, he stumbled through the dark, actually, the whole time, and in the end he is really screwed, you know. And that is what I figured out when we did a lot of research. Even there also, Novartis did a drug test in a psychiatrist in Switzerland. They paid a little bit of money, but they still exist, you know. So, and that is what was really crazy for me.
And it's still happening in India and wherever.
And you have a really, really strong cast for your first film. I think the ensemble is all absolutely spot on. How did you go about casting? Were these mostly people you knew? Did you have to audition? What was the casting process like?
So we knew some of them, and others we did, like, not really cast, because they have quite some reputation in Germany. So we would do some research and particularly go on them, like on the actors we wanted to have. Yeah. And I think what was appealing to them is that it's not the not a typical role, so they could experiment a little more than they usually would be able to in like German television or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't want to make an open call casting or ask 5 actors for one specific character, and then to say to 4 of them, no, please. We decided for another one, because I mean we could pay them, you know, and we wanted we want to show to the actor some respect, you know. So I think if you can do a casting really well when you watch every show reels and everything else. And in Germany, it's also not so hard if you have really characters, like the homeless people, to find good actors, because, yeah, well, the German television is really boring. Or you know some good German films, I don't know.
I like David Hasselhoff, he's cool. That's as well as German as I get, sorry.
Like he eats his burger.
You name it.
Pretty much all I've got, that's all I've got.
So that was actually an easy part, and sadly we had one famous actor for
The
Diekmann.
antagonist.
But then COVID came and he had a contract with another production company, and in this contract was that it wasn't allowed to do another movie in the meanwhile, because maybe he got COVID at our set and then the other movie would be in danger, you know. So that was really sad, but yeah.
And with that, during production, when you're shooting, you've done all your research, you've spent a good 8 years putting this film together. Did anybody come up with anything on set, anything that happened that you could never have scripted, but it was perfect and it found its way into the final project?
I would say every day, like in small pieces. Was there a major event?
Yeah, I don't know. I broke my knee at the second shooting day, and it was really crazy because I'm also the producer, and I was what?
And he didn't tell anybody,
No?
so I didn't know.
So and at the same day we had the running scene over the bridge, and yeah, I don't know. So it's really hard to watch myself because I always see the pain and not my movement a little bit stiff, you know. But in the end, I would say it's due to the character, because he always is in a bad position, you know. And yeah, that was something what came up, wasn't planned, yeah.
Well, you can't plan for a broken knee, can you? So, I don't really know what question this one. What kind of challenges, what was the biggest challenge, apart from obviously breaking your knee during filming, what was the biggest challenge that you found that you had to overcome, and how did you overcome that, as obviously being your first kind of directorial debut?
So there have been a lot of complications.
Yeah.
So first off, we wanted to start shooting in 2019, and we arranged everything, but 6 of our production managers just quit their job, so that fell back on us. And so we had, like, 1 week prior to shooting, we had to make a tough decision, and we had already 100 people on board, and we had to call all of them and admit that we're just not ready for it.
Okay.
And we couldn't really manage to prepare for our own jobs, directing and acting. So it was all about organizing and planning and the whole thing. And so we postponed the whole thing for another year, and even split it into shooting blocks. So we did one in 2020 and one in 2021. And to make it more feasible. And we had a real tough time in 2021, because people broke into our set twice, and they stole very important equipment. And it was Corona, it was the pandemic, and we had to spend a lot on the tests and stuff, and it caused quite a lot of trouble. What else? There was so much.
Yeah, well, also in the court scene, this building was an old military building, and the heater was broken.
Yeah.
Was broken, and everyone who was in the court scene, you saw them breathing, because it was minus 12 degrees, and then they all had under the table
Like a,
water and
what do you call it, pulley? Like,
Yep.
for like hot water.
hot water.
Yeah.
Then they drank and spoke the line that you can't see them breathing anymore, you know. Because
Yeah.
I think it's looks a little bit weird if they come the breathe out the mouth and you can see it, you know. But yeah, it was really tough because what you can't see. It's what scenes or what places are built from the production design, and there are a lot of scenes in it who was actually empty rooms before, you know.
The courtroom.
The courtroom, the psychiatry was completely empty rooms. What we have to, you know, fill up. Then the interrogation room was built, and that actually without money, that was a quite challenge. And when we got robbed, our production designer stands for me and say, "Freddy, sorry, I can't work anymore. My equipment got stolen. I don't know what to do, and I'm driving home." And I felt so sad for this guy because he was working sometimes the whole night, that the set is ready in the morning. And also he got a little bit of a camping heater with put his color that is not freezing, that he can color the wall, you know. And I felt so sorry for this guy, and luckily my brother is a farmer and he had a lot of manpower at home, and so I called him, "Hey, I need some workers, you know, can you send over?" And a friend of mine drove across the Germany to bring people up to fix the set and everything and bring new tools. Actually, if we would make a movie, how we made the movie would be maybe more interesting than the movie itself. So, yeah.
And what do you hope people take away from this movie when they see it? Like when they're going home on the drive home, or a couple of days later when they're thinking about the movie they've watched, what do you hope they take from it?
I love that question. It's maybe the most important question about every movie, I think. I hope that they think about their life and what kind of system am I, and feel comfortable with it. Because everyone is in a kind of a system, you know. And can I escape? And is someone above me? What do I have really in my own hands? You know, and really think about it, and is there a way out? That is, in my opinion, I would be happy if people would do that, if they see Gridlocked.
So?
Nothing to add for me.
So I'm going to throw it out to anyone in the audience. However, we don't have a Roman mic, so you will have to project. Go for it.
What did you learn to yourself mainly, I guess, as your first time director? What did you learn most about this film that you will take into your future projects?
To get comfortable with being uncomfortable, with making mistakes. So I think all the 8 years are about making mistakes. And I didn't know before, but this is something that nobody can teach you in film school, and this is, I guess, the reason why I always wanted to do a feature. Like, I did like 1 or 2 shorts before, and it never felt like the real deal, and I wanted to know what it means to make a feature.
And I have to say, Ilka did a great job because she was the youngest at the set. 25 you was?
23 at the beginning.
Yeah, 23 at the beginning, and all people are really have
and a woman.
and really experienced, and then you have 30 different actors.
50, I think.
50, yeah, actually 50 speaking, as a character who speaks in front of the camera, and every actor is different. And what is, I think, really crazy when you're making a movie, you meet people maybe it's the first time, and then you have to work together and then being creative, you know? And that is a really hard thing to do, I think, because if you're, I don't know, you have a bakery, then okay, you want to work in my store and cook, check out, after 2 weeks, yeah, come on, it didn't work out, please go somewhere else. But then there you have an actor, and you have to communicate with them, and every actor is different and need another type of talking. And I think Ilka find a great way to handle all, and that is really crazy if you've never done it before. So.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yep.
Was this story always going to be your first feature film, or did you have something else and then found out about the actual trials, and then went with that instead?
So I think we started off a little differently, and then we started adding up, like to the foundation we had built, and I soon felt that I wanted it to be more twisted and intertwined, and then we stumbled upon this article, so it was a process, I'd say, yeah.
It's really crazy if you start writing and you never did it before, then you read some books, and then your skills is writing, and then you read your own story and think, oh no, that is not the way, come on, it's too easy, and then, okay, think bigger, bring yourself in a position where you're self-stuck. So there is one point in the movie when Dario said, oh, I didn't kill your wife, and we wrote that, and yeah, what happens now? I have no idea. And that is something, as a writer, I think you have to put yourself in this kind of position that is also interesting for the audience. Because if you have no idea, then how should the audience know how to continue the story? And then you have, of course, you have to come up with ideas what makes sense. Don't fool the audience. And that is, yeah, actually we had 6 completely different stories.
And another fact is that this was supposed to be my diploma film at the beginning, and we weren't allowed to do it because it was a feature, and so it got to be our debut feature.
Anything else? So we all loved your film at the festival, all the people that watched the submissions. But one thing that I do think is missing from this movie is a musical number. So, if you could go back and reshoot one particular scene in this film, but with a musical number in there.
Sorry, what is a musical number?
A nice big song and dance moment.
Yeah, that's nice.
What scene would you reshoot, and what would the song be?
Wow. First of all, you didn't saw the whole movie today. Just that you know, we have a 2 hours and 10 minutes version, so there's maybe one musical scene.
We need a big song and dance.
Okay, you're gonna first.
That's a tough question.
I mean, it would change the tone completely.
No, it's cool.
Yeah,
I love it.
Definitely. Okay, which one are we gonna pick? So it's gotta be.
You're
dramatic.
the director. I have to act. So, which scene? Where should I dance? Where shall I dance?
Maybe in the courtroom, in front of everybody, undressing.
Undressing. Okay, yeah.
To I don't know.
I killed the people outside, and you just won't let me go.
I'd say dancing in the rain, but then we would need to find a scene outside.
When he's jumping from a bridge. You can catch me. Toodaloo.
Yeah, maybe.
You've already thought of this.
That's what he dreams of.
I think you guys were writing 2 different movies.
Yeah.
All along.
Right, guys. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for submitting the movie to the festival and letting us show it up here. But most of all, thank you for being here today and taking part of my silly questions.
No,
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.